So let's get into some heavyweight discussion about the heavyweights, obviously. I see Dillian Whyte had some nice words for me last week. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Someone's got so little charisma, even his shadow looks bored. But we've got Dillian coming out to fight against a fighter that... no, he's not coming out to fight Tete. He's already fought Tete and made a big production out of it, didn't he? Where Fraser Clark knocked him out in one round. Where do we see Dillian and the opportunities that exist for him?
Well, Dillian's at that stage of his career where he wants the big fights. And you're looking at someone like Joseph Parker, who's struggling to get a fight, and you go, look, run that back. That would be a good fight. Joseph Parker now has that momentum.
What's the motivation for Joseph Parker for that fight?
He can't get a fight. That's the motivation.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying is that if you look at Joseph Parker, what's he had? Like one fight in the last 14, 15 months or so, and it doesn't look like he's going to be fighting now till September, possibly. He's going to need that some sort of tune-up. Dillian Whyte is that prime name. I think that Dillian holds a victory over him, and that's where I'd like to see.
Do you not think
there's
a more? Do you not think maybe Lawrence Okolie would feature in that conveison? That might.
He would feature in the conversation. Of course he would. Of course he would.
I don't think Dillian would want to fight Lawrence Okolie because Lawrence Okolie's like he's looking strong in it heavyweight after his debut, and I think Dillian is he didn't look the Dillian of old in the last fight against Ebenezer Tete, who Daniel Dubois obliterated in a round about 5-6 years ago. But Dillian Whyte has the luxury of the fact that he is commercially still he's a big name. He's a name and he's always going to be in the frame for a big fight. But like I say with the Joseph Parker fight, I know what you're saying, Simon, like what's in it for his fight, but he holds a win over him and he'll think, yeah.
That's the sell.
Why there's no fights for me? Let's get it on. It's a logical fight to make.
Moses Itauma is out this weekend, and also beyond this weekend, which is they're not going to look beyond, but Frank is talking about, A, he expects him to have a world title shot in the next 18 months, and B, he's looking for him to fight Martin Okolie. What do you think of those observations?
Listen, it's going to be more difficult to hold Moses back than let him go, if I'm totally honest, because we've seen the star potential that he's got.
But sticking him against Okolie...
No, but Frank Warren
is a great matchmaker.
He's a great matchmaker.
He's a brilliant,
and he will understand that. And you go like stick him in there, you look at you're taking a calculated gamble and you talk about Martin Okolie and getting that last minute opportunity, going in there and getting obliterated in 2 rounds, coming in, terribly overweight.
What do you think about that?
But you understand that.
I got not into trouble because I think most of the people agree with me, but Martin Okolie turned up to that fight in terrible condition, and it was also disrespectful to the fact that he's getting paid millions of pounds and he's wobbling into that fight. I think if you're asking me who would win out of the fight, on current form, Moses Itauma would blast him out.
Absolutely.
So I think Moses Itauma is the best prospect, not heavyweight prospect, the best prospect in boxing.
This was my concern about Martin Okolie. He then gets that opportunity against the Jaguar that he was originally going to fight for the final eliminator.
And he fluffs his lines.
He gets that opportunity and then comes in terribly overweight again. From Frank and Moses' point of view, you go, well, that's the obvious fight to make. Let's take that now.
Isn't that sort of blot on Billy Nelson's landscape? Because Billy was making a lot of noises about what he felt that Martin was entitled to. He talks about needing nutrition. What he needs is a lock on the larder. But the fact of the matter is that Billy Nelson is also responsible for the well-being of Martin Okolie, and he must know that putting him into a fight at £300...
Listen, Billy Nelson took a fight on 24 hours' notice because the cheddar was right.
Yeah.
And I know, listen, to Billy's defence, he was getting a lot of stick about, Martin's chubby going into that fight. But it's not really down to Billy Nelson to stop Martin Okolie eating. He's got to have some self-discipline to stop doing that. But look, he's fluffed it, Martin Okolie, because he had me as a believer. That's what I was more annoyed about. I was thinking, Okolie's he's going to beat everybody.
Let's have this right? He didn't just have us as believers, that he has got potential, massive potential.
Martin's a great fighter.
But to be a great fighter and be an elite fighter, you have to have everything.
Right,
you've got to be disciplined. And Martin Okolie at the moment, the one thing that he hasn't got, yes, he's got star quality and he's got potential, but he's got no discipline. That's a big problem.
But also, by the same token, we've got a trainer in Jamie Moore suggesting that we can influence the direction of travel for Dave Allen. Then Billy Nelson has to say the same thing.
Absolutely.
But interestingly, Duke McKenzie, who I like Duke McKenzie's observations because they're normally to the point and he stands them up. He is talking about Moses Itauma avoiding someone like Dave Allen because it's too early for him.
No.
So how do we square that?
Too early for Moses Itauma?
Yeah.
No,
Dave Allen won't fight Moses Itauma. Do you know why? Because Jamie Moore will look at that fight, and Dave, because Dave is a clever guy. I think... No thanks, lads.
You don't
thanks, lads.
You
I don't
put
need that
Dave Allen nowhere near Moses Itauma.
No, nothing in it for Dave Allen.
Yeah, no, but it's just like it's
weird.
You're talking about the levels and whatnot, and this kid, I wouldn't go nowhere near that.
If Moses Itauma can take a whack on the chin, you're looking at
Yeah.
the next real big thing in boxing. Full stop.
Obviously, we've got Fabio Wardley against Justis Huni coming up relatively shortly. Obviously, I made a bit of a tip myself the other day, which you corrected before, suggesting that maybe Dillian could fight Fabio Wardley, forgetting that he managed him, and that's why Dillian gave me a smack, and deservedly so. Obviously, Fabio Wardley takes on Justis Huni on the 7th of June at Portman Road. Let's have a listen to Justis himself talking on talkSPORT last week.
I think he's going to come out strong. And yeah, it's gonna be a war. You know, if it does go the distance, it's gonna, like you said, be a bloodbath. And I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, I'm willing to go to the deep waters and take myself to really dark places to get this win. So I got the call up 5 weeks out, and now I think we're just over 3 weeks ago. So yeah, it's almost there, and it's a massive opportunity for myself. You know, us over in Australia, I believe, you know, we don't really get as many opportunities. Like, we're not as well known. So for me to come over here and, you know, get the call up to take on a big fight like this, I had to take it with both hands just to get my name out there and, you know, get people talking about me.
Right. Justis is ranked #1 with the WBO. Comes out of the same camp as Opataya, so immediately people will think of Jai Opataya because of his domination of the cruiserweight division. Do you like this kid? I mean, we spoke about him last week about getting himself into trouble with Kevin Loureiro.
Yeah.
But do you think this is
a fight? This kid can fight. You know, he's got great amateur pedigree. He puts his shots together well. He punches and bunches. He's got quick hands as well. This is a dangerous fight. More dangerous fight than Baby Miller.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely for Fabio Wardley. This kid's young. He's hungry, and like I say, he can put shots together. He's a good body puncher, and speed is key as well. It's a dangerous fight. I mean, fair play to Wardley for taking the fight, because Justis Huni really doesn't bring, you know, you've got a lot to lose here and not a lot to gain by beating Huni. But he's only had 12 fights.
The downside is Justis Huni's profile's not that big. Like, you wouldn't really know him over here. Obviously, I've followed Justis Huni. He was a tremendous amateur. He's got good legs. He's fast. He's a completely, like what Spencer's just saying, he's a completely, not disrespecting Jarrell Miller, but Jarrell Miller's on the tail end of his career. He would come and Justis Huni is a much harder fight for Fabio Wardley. But look, Fabio will have confidence of the fact how he's dealt with an Olympian, that the Fraser Clark fight. But much harder fight, much harder fight, and massive credit. Listen, Fabio's a game as a badger, and he'd fight anybody. So yeah, I'm really intrigued with that fight. But I cannot believe they've took that fight, to be honest with you.
But I mean, let's be fair to Fabio. Every single time he's been put into a fight, people have questioned whether it's a more challenging fight than he's ready to be in at the time. David Adelaide was put in that category, dealt with him. Fraser Clark, albeit the first one was a draw, the second one was conclusive. To summarise, do we still believe that Fabio comes out of this victorious, or do we think it's more challenging than just a black and white Fabio wins?
No, I think Fabio wins the fight, but it is more challenging. For sure, it's more challenging. Justis Huni is...
No one's hearing the final bell, are they?
Uh-huh.
No one's hearing the final bell.
It probably ends before the final bell, yeah. But Huni, I'll tell you what, though, Huni showed a lot of character against Kevin Loureiro. He got hurt in the second and in the 10th, and he hung in there.
Fabio hits harder.
Fabio
hits harder than Kevin Loureiro.
Yeah, he does. But no, Kevin Loureiro's very heavy-handed.
Look what he done to Dubois.
He's very heavy-handed. And Daniel Dubois. So you just look at it and you go, look, it could be one of those fights like what we saw against Fraser Clark in that first one, Fabio Wardley, but catches a light. But both guys show a lot of character.
And you've also got to bake into the equation that Fabio's fighting in front of his home crowd.
Yeah.
So he's going to want to go in there and put a show. But it's going to be a great fight. Another night of great boxing.